Hello everyone and welcome to yet another stream. In today's session we are going to be talking about something very interesting, which is clipping to custom shapes and auto-sizing text. So to make it a little bit easier to understand, here is something that I would like to show you. So basically here we have a design that we are going to, we are using inside the community for challenges, like something that we are working on. And we want to put the focus on this piece here, basically having that fire with a count inside. So how we are going to achieve this? And that's there are several ways. We are gonna start with a naive approach first. Then we are going to make it better. So if you're up for challenges like this one, you can join our community, and then um, yeah, we are working on something similar to this and different designs, so that we can learn compose easier. All right, so the first things first, how we are going to approach this. I am going to take that drawing, that design, into my drawables here, and I'm going to create a new vector, and I'll use local file. This is a file that I already have on my desktop. So let's pick that. Here it is. And I'm gonna say this is I see fire. So far so good. So that's the fire. And now here I'm going to create a new file, and let's call this fire counter, which is going to be a composable that will be called fire counter. Usually we take in modifier. We spoke many times why getting a default modifier is always a good idea. And I'm going to create a preview so that we can see what we are doing. Usually the previews I make private functions, preview fire counter, and then I'll just wrap it in the theme and call the composable. Now we should have a preview. For the people on the call, hello. And let's see what's wrong here. This usually takes time. So the naive approach, looking back at our image, let me open it once again, would be to have some sort of background on a text, or maybe like wrap this in a box so that we can have sizing correct. And let's take a look how that's gonna look like. So basically we can create a box here where we are going to pass the modifier. And also it is important to, in this case, have the content of this thing to the center. So we are going to have something like content alignment here, which is going to be alignment center. Now, the nature of a box is that it puts the things one on top of another, meaning that whatever I write first here will be on the very bottom, and then whatever comes afterwards will be a little bit on top. So I can create an image here like that, and I can use a painter, which is going to be a resource, painter resource, R drawable IC fire. As a content description, well, that comes as a second argument. Let's import the correct import here. And I need to also pass content description here. Let's say counter for now. Okay, we see that preview now. And on top, we can add a text, which is going to be, let's say, 0 for now. So that's pretty much similar to what we are seeing here, but of course this is going to have many issues. So for example, if I type here like that, it goes off the bounds, of course. And now if I try to fix this, to fix this, so maybe I can play a little bit with the sizing, like limiting some things, but that's not gonna be scalable enough. So for example, most of the time, probably this text is gonna be, if it's in thousands, it's gonna be with K. If it's with millions, it's gonna be with M. But even then, like, it's not gonna be that easy. So 999, let's say, K, it doesn't fit. So I will have to basically play a little bit with the sizes and with things like limiting the sizes and the box here to be able to feed these two together. The bigger problem, I think, it is that the text goes over. Like, if I put a color on this, equals color white, let's say, to see it better. Compose. This is the one, sorry. So you see it goes over, like on top of the bounds of the image beyond. So we could utilize something like a modifier background, but then we couldn't add an image for a background here. So how do we solve this? Well, that's where the shapes are very, very practical. So for example, instead of image here, if I was, let's say, this box, if I can clip it with, let's say I have circular shape, and then if I give this a background, let's say color, green. This is more or less where I'm heading to. So if I can clip, and then if I can give this, let's say, because I'm passing from here a modifier, if I say modifier is gonna be modifier size 50 dp, or let's reduce it to 30. So the text inside is going to be, you see it is rendered inside, it is not affecting the circle. So if it doesn't fit, then I can work a little bit on the text to change the size, to do something like size. In fact, I should use style. It's going to be, let's say, material theme, typography, let's say small. Or I can even do copy and put size, let's say 12 SP, to make it fit, or even smaller, which is not recommended to go under 12. But still, this is what I would like, what's gonna be a better approach. So how do I, now from the present, from what we've seen so far, we can see that this is probably a better approach to do something with the clipping, so that I can play with the sizes differently, and we are gonna see by the end of the stream how we can make this auto size. But the thing is, what we've realized, that having something to, like, being able to clip with a shape is gonna be better approach, better solution. So how do we create a shape out of that drawable that we introduced here? So that's what we're gonna be doing next. Now let's create a class here, and I'm gonna call this fire shape. And this is regular class that extends from shape that is part of the Compose UI. And now this one is allowing me to override create outline function. This is the only function that I have to override. And now all I have to do here is utilize whatever that path of this IC fire is to create an outline. So I'm gonna return here. Outline, and then I have few options like rectangle, rounded, or generic. For this exact situation, I can use a generic. And here, all I have to supply is a path. Now, this path is something that we can convert the path, because here, if you take a look at the XML, this is path data. So we can take this path data, copy this string, and use that one to create this shape. So in this case, we can call something like path parser. Now there are two. One is Compose, one is the Android Text Core Graphics. You should use this one. This is very important, not this one, but this one, because this one is having a functionality to create path from path data. So we use that function, and here we can basically paste the string that we have copied. And because the outline wants different kind, like this path type is different than what this one returns, here we can call sCompose path. And that's going to be it. Now, this is just part of the story because we have to adjust it a little bit. But what we can do now, if I take this fire shape and go back to my counter, here I can use that fire shape to apply it for cutting. And as you can see, it already works, but now the sizing is wrong. So here I have to do additional work with the sizing. So here I'm going to apply. What I'm going to do is I'll create a matrix that will help me to scale the whole thing based on the bounds of the path. Because the path, these values that are here, basically are defining where the drawing is happening. And it has some bounds, so we can utilize that. So first I'm gonna get the size of the path by getting the bounds. And from the bounds I can get the size. Then I'm gonna create a new matrix, which is gonna be a matrix. Again, it has two implementations like you have. Android Text Compose UI Graphics. Again, we're not gonna use that one. We're gonna use the one from Android.graphics because it has an API that we need. And then on this matrix, we're gonna call post scale. We need to scale. And then here we have to pass width and height. The width and the height are gonna be sort of relative to the path size, width and height. So the size width over the path size width, that's gonna be the width, and the height size height is going to be over the path size height. And now that we have the matrix, the calculation, we have to say here as Android path, I think it was transform, and then pass down the matrix. Now that transformation is going to take place, and back to our preview, it already works, as we can see. And we have that nice clipping that we were expecting. However, now the last issue that we are having here is if you pay attention, this is a little bit translated to the right, and like the bottom and the right don't look correct. They feel like they're cut off. So we have to fix that one. And in fact, we have to translate a little bit this drawing to the left and to the top. And that's also something we can do here inside a shape. And to do so, we can get the left, which is, again, get bounds left, and top is going to be get bounds top. And basically, this is the spacing from the top and from the left. And what we can do is we can translate, with an offset. And these are two floats that we have to pass. X should be minus left, and top should be minus top. And that would be it for the fire shape. Now we have a shape, and basically with using something like this, we can apply here literally any from any vector drawable. We can take the path, apply it here, or create different shape, obviously. And then you can imagine how useful it could be if you want to clip out, let's say, if you're having some custom tips, you know, these tips that when you are onboarding a user, when you want to show some tips like how some button is being used, like click here to see this, click here to see that, those little tips that are appearing on some applications with an arrow. So you can utilize that, this particular thing, to create those custom ones. And in Compose, it's like, as you can see, very easy. Now, as you can see, it translated to the left. This is too much zoomed. That's why it is a little bit, you know, like with dots. And now that I have that shape here, I have 30. I can put like, because the shape is a little bit, you know, not from the actual drawing. If I open it again, it is not equal size, width, and height. So the width should be a little bit less than the height. Here we can do something like size. Width is gonna be, let's say, 30. The height is gonna be, I don't know, 40 dp. Well, that's a bit too much. So maybe 35. Or it might be even better to just remove the modifier altogether. Well, in that case, it doesn't work at all because of the text. So the text is not doesn't have any spacing. So basically, this is going to be measured, the dimension, based on the children. So it's better to have some sort of size here. Maybe just to try it out, I can do aspect ratio. Let's say, what happens if I do 1? What happens if I do 2? 5? Okay, so we can play with this a bit more. 2, and then let me see if I can make it smaller. So yeah, maybe aspect ratio is gonna be better approach in this case. But yeah, you've got the point. Let's bring back the size. I don't know, 40 dp, and then height is gonna be 45 dp. Okay, let me refresh and increase the size. And now let's focus on the actual text, finally. So when it comes to the text, we want to be able, because it cuts off inside the shape, so we want to be able to automatically resize the text based on what we have available, right? So first of all, I'm not sure if I want this background as green, but let's keep it green. That's fine. And as of the text, we can use, instead of text here, we can use basic text. The text is gonna be the same. We can change the style to make it more sort of appearing like what we've got here. It looks a little bit bold, maybe. Well, this design is not like, it's a screenshot that I took before the stream, so I should have prepared maybe better. But for the challenges that we are having, that I mentioned at the beginning, we're having correct designs. in Figma, so that they are easy to follow. So as a style here, I'm going to use material theme, typography, title large, and I'll say max lines is going to be 1. As of the color, I'm gonna remove, because the color is black. Of course, we can apply different colors. And the thing that will make it automatically scale is the auto size property. And this is something that was introduced in Compose SDK since recently. So that's like super amazing feature. And we are gonna apply text auto size here, step based. And then here we can define what's going to be the minimum font size, what's going to be the maximum font size, and what steps does it going to take when, for example, scaling up or down. Now, how cool is this? Is that, for example, if I change this to 0, it just makes it bigger. So if I add values, 12, 1, 2, 3, as you can see, it just makes the text smaller to fit. And if I add here additionally some padding, let's say 4 dp, it will make it even smaller. So yeah, this is pretty awesome, I would say. And then it looks much nicer. And now if I have 1 to 3K, it's gonna look cool. And obviously here we can apply, let's say, min font size is gonna be maybe 12 SP. Max is going to be, let's say, 16 SP. And in that sense, here, if I change it back to 0, it's not going to be too big. Cool? All right, so now obviously we can apply a modifier here if you want to change something about this or style it differently. But this little thing is really amazing feature. And now, because this should come as an input in the fire counter, we have to take it as a property. So what we could do is we can introduce here something like count int, and then here we are going to use the count, and then from here we are going to pass count. And additionally, which is not going to be part of this stream, is if we have large number, we can apply some formatting to use K or M or whatever to format it nicely. So if we have something like over 999, we can use K. So like over 1000, we can have 1K, and so on and so forth. That would be it. That's everything that I wanted to cover in this stream. Hopefully it was useful. And yeah, this code is going to be submitted in the Rijksmuseum app, which is linked below the video. So you can find link to the repository. The branch name is, let's see, custom shape clipping. So let me push this, custom shape clipping with fire shape. And I'm gonna push this so you can find the branch. And that being said, again, if you want to work on things based on Compose to learn, to improve your skills and get some challenges like designs in Figma and work together with other people, you are very welcome to join our community where you're gonna have hands-on support, one-on-one support, whatever you want. And however, in any shape or form that you need, real mentorship, hands-on mentorship. So you can find the links below and you can join us. You're welcome. So yeah, that's going to be fun. That's everything I've got. If you have any questions, you can always drop them in the live stream, in the chat, or for the people that are in the call, you can always ask anything. Anthony, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Geoff, for this session.
Anytime, you're welcome.
Yeah, this is really helpful. I didn't know you could do something like this with shapes, right? But I'm also looking forward to when we do things like that part of the design that looks like graph or
Yeah.
bar kind of thing. Yeah, I'm also looking forward to that time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we are going to work on that. And yeah, it's basically you can draw that on a canvas yourself, or you can use modifiers to draw. So both approaches are very, very similar. And basically, Canvas is, in a way, a wrapper around that draw with content modifier. But yeah, definitely something we can explain and definitely something we can work on. It's going to be fun. Cool. I'm not seeing any questions in the live stream. If there are more questions from, yeah, in the call, let's go ahead and answer them. Otherwise, you can always reach out and ask any questions inside the community. You can make a post or send me a DM. I'm available, as you all know. And yeah, that would be it. Thank you so much for the time and attention. Hopefully, it was useful. And I'll catch you next week with something new and interesting. Until then, cheers. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.